What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new. My name is Rachel, and in today's video we are going to be going through and reading a bunch of funny stories that happen to dental hygienists or people in the dental field. If you're excited for this video, please let me know by hitting that like button and also hitting that red subscribe button down below so you are notified every single time I post a new video. So without further ado, let's get into the video. A patient's mother is sitting in my pedo bay trimming her toenails. I come in, introduce myself, and ask her to save her pedicure for a later time. She seems puzzled by my request. On her way out, she accidentally spills 34 ounces of a soft drink on my front desk. A 20-something-year-old male is having treatment done with nitrous when he looks up and says, "This is the best threesome I've ever had." So I was placing an implant and asked my assistant to suction. I step out for a second and the patient asked my assistant, "I know you are talking amongst yourselves about sucking, but I didn't know if you wanted me to suck because I can suck, you know." One patient insisted that our hygienist chipped a corner of her lower front tooth during cleaning, and then we find her on all fours in the operatory looking for the missing piece of the tooth because it is a part of her body and it is thus sacred. An old patient sat in the chair and says to my assistant, "I feel like a king every time I sit in her chair because she crowns me." Had a guy take a potty break during a prep for 2 crowns. Restroom was right across from the front desk. He came out after a while, and when he opened the door, a huge rolling puff cloud of smoke followed. I guess he needed a cigarette or two. Me: "Are you allergic to latex, sir?" Patient: "I don't know, why don't we find out together?" So a really old man named Louis, great guy, one of my favorites, comes in because he has a sore spot under his lower denture and sometimes feels that it is sharp on the uppers. So I adjust the lower denture and lay it on the tray before moving on to the upper arch. He has an ill-fitting denture partial, so I reach in and I remove the partial from his mouth. When I do, he says, "Oh, I thought you already took my lower denture out of my mouth." I say, "I did." So he says, "Then what did you just take out of my mouth?" I reply, "Your upper one?" He exclaimed, "I have an upper denture?" It was obvious from the chewed up food under the partial that he indeed had forgotten that he had an upper one. That is disgusting. Had a creepy older male patient who likes to wear his red velvet sweatpants unusually too often. He asked me, "So you can prescribe medications, right? Can you prescribe me some Viagra, please?" So I have a lot of elderly patients, and one of my favorite one is Esther. So she's partially deaf and talks really, really loud. Her last visit, she sits in the chair and asks me how long she was going to be at the office. I told her about an hour. Why? She said that she had a lot of coffee in the morning and feared that she would have to use the bathroom. But then, without skipping a beat, she grabbed my arm and winked at me, saying in her quietest, loud voice, "It's okay, sweetie. I'm wearing my Depends." So I have this 60-ish-year-old man that gigs during his x-rays every single time. Last time I take them, he says, "I could never be gay." So an 83-year-old man just told me before starting an endo on number 4, "Hey doc, I just wanted to thank you so much for giving me that antibiotic. I feel so much better now. I've been constipated for over a month and the diarrhea was great." Of course he was yelling this and the whole office heard. So I had this sweet 90-year-old man in my chair, or so I thought. I asked my assistant for an IP stripper, so she asked which one I wanted. I asked for the white stripper. So this guy looks up at me and says, "Oh, can I get one of those too?" So we have this patient show up at noon for her 5 p.m. appointment and insisted on waiting around until we can see her. And while she is waiting, she had a pizza delivered for herself and then continued to offer that pizza to the other patients that were also in the waiting room. That's actually really nice. I'd be okay with that type of a patient. I had this 48-year-old woman come in as a new patient with a 13mm gap between 8 and 9. That's your 2 front teeth. After giving her treatment plan options to close the space, she whispers to me, "I suck my thumb and other things, so I want to keep the gap." So I had this 80-year-old lady in a wheelchair invite me to her house to try out her new Tempur-Pedic mattress. This same lady was sucking her fingers while I was trying to deliver her implant bridge. So this 90-plus-year-old lady says to the doctor, "Doc, does your office have a back door?" Me. Why do you ask? The lady. Because the girls up front will ask for a payment if I go through the front door. So this 55-year-old woman is getting a prophy on nitrous. So a prophy is just like the professional name for a dental cleaning. She can't bear the thought of a prophy without it. I ask her, open wider. She says, that doesn't work for my husband and it sure as hell isn't going to work for you. Patient, my tooth is sensitive. Me, what's it sensitive to? Patient, to hot, to cold, to when I cut my hair real short. So I was new to the office and I was reaching around a patient with a suction and knocked off his wig. We both sat there in shock until he got up, picked his hair up off of the floor, and went to the restroom for what felt like an eternity. It was so awkward when he returned. That's so sad. So this one time my dental assistant sucked up my patient's uvula. So your uvula is like the little hanging ball that's in the back of your throat. To the point that the suction had to be turned off to dislodge. My patient was a bit startled and wide-eyed for the remainder of the appointment, but now it's an ongoing joke that we have. So while I was in hygiene school, I decided to help and show an assistant how to take impressions. So I was super rushed. I got the lower in and out perfectly. I was feeling pretty good about it. So like the real jackass I am, I do the upper. No one says a thing, mind you. To get this out, this thing was a nightmare. Now I'm sweating. I'm pushing on his face, shoulders, pop. The whole thing comes out. Now the only problem is that this man has no upper teeth. None. All three of us were just staring at each other, no words. And it felt like 4 days went by. I took an impression of this man's dentures, the full upper. So in my early years as an assistant, an old man got up to use the bathroom during the procedure. He comes back in, sits down, and we rebib him. As I proceeded to continue to work back on him with my doctor, I just happened to look towards his feet. Lo and behold, he forgot to zip his pants and his one ball was hanging out. Yep, right there. Had to leave the room and have the doctor tell him. When I assisted pedo, we had a patient known to vomit every visit. As expected, he did. I caught it in his bib. The doc attempted to lift the bib and poured it all over his head. I'll never forget it. I'm pretty sure the little boy won't either. That's so sad. At least it's his own though, right? My husband and I work in the same dental office. One day his dental assistant ran to me and said a female patient was hitting on him. I asked what happened and she said she asked him to fill other cavities in her body. I walked to his room and was ready to make a scene, and then I saw this little old lady who looks like 100 years old. I decided to have mercy on her and let her go. So we had country music playing in the background. And apparently the patient was upset about it, so she demanded that we play classical music instead. We never changed the channel, so she decided to leave. So I had this patient walk in and I introduced myself and she says, "Your name just had to be Stacy, didn't it?" I'm like so confused, don't know what's going on. She storms out and leaves. I haven't seen her in 3.5 years. So this one time I had the patient that got really mad at me because I refused to glue the calculus back into her mouth. The 72-year-old woman comes in telling me that she needs her wizard teeth removed. This one time I had a patient that asked me if they really need to brush the backside of their teeth since no one actually sees it. This one patient comes in with an abscess and she doesn't understand how she got it because all she does is oil pulling, she takes her vitamins, and she even flosses her teeth with grass blades. This one time I had a patient that said I looked too young to know what I'm doing, so she got up out of the chair and rescheduled. So I had this patient come in. She says, "My teeth didn't turn brown until I dyed my hair brown. I believe that the hair dye soaked into my teeth, and I wonder if I bleach my hair, if my teeth will turn white." At this point, I couldn't help myself, and all I could say was, I'm like, it's worth a try. I had a patient ask me to tell her when I pushed the button to take the x-ray so that she could hold her breath. She said that she didn't want to breathe in any of the radiation. I once had a patient tell me that working in a building with asbestos is what's causing her gingivitis. I once had this patient ask me what my job title is, so I tell her that I'm a dental hygienist. So she says, "So your job is to teach people like how to not smell bad and how they should like shower and stuff?" Yeah, pretty much. So I was going over the health history with one of my patients this one time. So I say, You checked asthma on your health history. Do you take any medication for it? No, I just get out of breath when I walk. Okay, you also checked cancer on your health history. What kind? My thighs hurt and I get a rash when they rub together when I walk. I once had a patient who, mind you, works in healthcare, ask if a permanent tooth can form again after it's extracted. Seems legit. So this one time I told a patient that I was going to go get the doctor for an exam, and the patient asked, am I going to have to open my mouth for that? I can't tell you how many times we'll have a patient sitting in the chair and I don't know if they're just like out of it or they forget what they're doing, but they'll just sit in the chair like, I'm like, you ready? Mm-hmm. Like, are you gonna open your mouth? Like, I appreciate the fact that you think I'm like good enough to do my job with your mouth closed, but unfortunately we are not. I just had a patient recently in who I was polishing, and after I get done polishing, she's like, huh, you know, the funny thing is that I forgot I even had teeth back there. You can't make this stuff up, guys. Patient, I can't use the water pick because I just can't handle the cold water. Me, well, you know, you could just use warm water instead. Patient, oh, I never thought of that. I once had this 20-ish-year-old kid who said that he was using the t-shirt method to brush his teeth. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. This one time I had a patient that says, since you cleaned the stuff between my teeth and I have spaces, I have a dry mouth. Like, I suck in more air with these spaces. Oh my gosh. So this one time while I was using the air syringe to see clearer, so the air water syringe, whenever we pour water in your mouth, there's one button for water and then the button beside it is for air. So that's what she's talking about. So the patient says, what's that? Me. Oh, it's just a little bit of air. I'm trying to keep your teeth dry so that I can see clearer. Patient, air dries things? In my head, I'm just thinking, did she seriously just ask me if air dries things? Well, it sure as hell does not make them wet. I once had a patient tell me that they use a high-quality paper towel to clean their teeth because the toothbrush bristles are harmful for their enamel. During patient education, my patient goes, so are you telling me I'm not supposed to share a toothbrush with my wife? Guys, please, I mean, you can share whatever you want with your loved ones, but please don't share your toothbrush. I bring patient back to my room. Patient points to the dental chair and says, do you want me to sit here? Oh my god, if I had a nickel for every time I had a patient that asked that. After telling my patient that they are losing bone due to perio, the patient says, oh, don't worry, I'll just drink lots of milk and it'll grow back. I had a patient come in wanting to know how deep her readings were. She says, you know, my pockets, my pterodactyl pockets. She says it with a straight face. She meant to say periodontal. Patient comes in complaining that their crown fell off. They keep it in a baggie and they hand it to me saying, can you glue this back in? It was a big chunk of calculus. I had a guy tell me that he can't brush his teeth in the summer because he picks watermelons. I'm still trying to connect the dots to that one. I once had a teenage boy who didn't regularly brush his teeth, who told me, it's all mental. I just think in my head that I'm not going to get cavities, so I don't. It was one of those things like, no, LOL, just no. But at the same time, he had 0 cavities and beautiful healthy teeth, so I might be a believer now. See, there you go, folks. That's all you have to do is just believe you can and you will. I have a 25-year-old male patient who likes to wipe peanut butter on his teeth and sleep with it on. So I'm going to stop there before this video gets too long. If you guys want to see a part 2 of this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. This was really, really fun to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing these just as much as I enjoyed reading them. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. Again, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. If there's any video in particular that you guys would like to see, let me know in the comments below and I would be happy to make it for you. If you guys enjoy watching my videos, make sure that you hit that like button and the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!